Okay. I'm looking at you.
Right?
I'm looking, and I'm already like, maybe
It,
there was a quest I missed, and
and
he's got an
they're
answer.
I mean, like the only narrative thing that they have is that they're trying to protect Tyresa, who's like fallen unconscious from the completion of the summoning ritual, and Donan and Lorath are working together to summon a shield to protect themselves inside the church, and that was it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey.
For all the
Well,
build up though, in Acts 1 through 3, right? We fought a like Astaroth is not on the same level as Endariel, right? There are seven evils. She's one of them. So this is a big deal. And, it gives us the scope of the character power. And if that was acknowledged a little bit, or maybe like even as we know, Mephisto's behind the scenes, right? Like a hint of like that shouldn't have really been powerful, or that shouldn't have really been possible. What would lead you to be able to do that? Um, like planting those seeds or something, like then maybe, but just like I didn't like that it was kind of just shrugged off. And then we're going to get to another lesser evil that gets shrugged off even harder. Um,
Doesn't even get his name mentioned.
I know.
the fir- but also the first boss that killed me on my first attempt. But then again, I was fighting him before they fixed that fight, and I couldn't see half of the battlefield, and I didn't know he was leaving holes in the ground that I couldn't walk over. Uh, so very specifically about what you're just talking about, because this is a little bit interesting depending on how much you like to role play the game. If people don't know, even if you might not hear me saying, I'm internally role playing the entire time in this role playing game, and my necromancer being able to best Indariel did not feel that weird. Only because I've always held like priests of Rathma in a higher regard, because they are people who are learning directly and I've always considered to be like a bit more connected to like what the true power of Nephilim are in the world.
I mean, canonly, necromancers are like some of the only ones that know the true history of the world and our place in the grand universe.
So I've always felt like, well, of course I could do it. I'm a necromancer. But you make a really good point. Like, why is this random rogue killing Indariel? Why is this random barbarian kill? Well, even barbarian are a bit, again, like closer, more related in my mind. Like, why is a random druid killing Indariel? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, does
I
it?
had to have a teenager translate my ancient druidic, and now I just beat Andariel.
So, power scale. No, but you're right. You're right. It's like most things, the beginning of something always tends to be stronger than the ending of a thing, because that's how budget works. That's how time crunch works. I would not be surprised if with seasons and then inevitably, like really the first expansion, we get a really powerful like return to form as far as like story is concerned. I'm jumping the shark a little bit because we're about to talk about how like the story lets me down a little bit, if I'm being sincere. And that's where I expect it to pick back up. Like 4, 5, and 6 feels like we got 1, we got 2, we got 6. We just got to kind of fill in the rest for right now because we got to get this game out. I don't want to put those words in their mouth, but that's kind of how it felt to me.
I think so. We're kind of getting into Act 5, which I have dubbed How Donan Gets His Groove Back.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yes.
Because that is the goal of Act 5.
Yeah, we
Like
we get him his
Donan's
mojo.
he can't do it, so let's go take acid in the woods and see what happens. All right, he's
Not
got it.
None of this is related to the witch doctors, really. What is the story
Oh.
of the witch doctor? Where are they? Where are they in the world?
So Kyrgyzstan, and we actually there's Kyrgyzstan, and there's like kind of like we're not in all of Kyrgyzstan because Kyrgyzstan is divided, from the Umbaro by a river, and we don't even get to the river because that's also where like Kurast is, and then it's the Umbaro.
But I think
Yeah.
Macro, maybe you're onto something, and maybe that like gets retconned later. But like, I could see that logical connection because druids talk frequently about the spirit realm. We take these drugs, we see the big snake. Um, if that was a vision of that spirit realm that's connected to the witch doctors, that could enhance that Act 5 experience a little bit more for me because, like, okay, now I kind of get it, maybe. It could
It
be
just
better.
like it just seems so weird to me. Like it to me thematically, it's borrowing so much, like so heavily from my experience, like playing Witch Doctor in Diablo 3. I was like, I also didn't do a lot of it, and I haven't followed Diablo 3, so I was like, oh, I must just be like filling in the missing pieces here. That big snake, very cool concept, very aggravating implementation. Uh, I just got stuck in one spot for a little bit. And I just did sit there going, what do you want me to do with this big snake? Why is nothing happening? Why is nobody saying anything? I'm running in a direction. Why is nothing happening? The story in general, I liked it. I didn't like it being a bunch of fetch quests, but I like that there's just like this whole secret, like, oh, the drowned are also here, and we got real Pirates of the Caribbean over here. I kept expecting just Jack Sparrow to walk out, be like, oh, so are you, and just have somebody be like, are you afraid of death, Jack Sparrow? I'm like, what is happening over here? Why are we in the Pirates of the Caribbean? But I did get to climb into a coffin and go down to the undeath realm of the ocean or something. It was very cool. I liked that. I didn't like
That's
Narelle getting like hyper zombieification that we got to cut off her arm right now or she's going to be a bat. She's going to look. She went through another crawl hole that only she can fit in. We were gone for 2 seconds, and now she's dying of flesh rot disease or something.
Yeah, we go back to like those weird bits of story. Like if you're playing a rogue, you're probably the same size as Narelle, and you could have squeezed through that hole, but no, it's got to be her. My druid wasn't going to do it. I get that. But yeah, sometimes you work with what you have, and we'll talk about that, I think, when we get into Act 6 with a certain depth. But um, yeah, I did enjoy the homage to From Software, where it's like, hey, just get in the coffin. It's going to take you to the magical place that you need to go.
That was very From Soft. That was very much me climbing in the stone casket and going down the river in Elden Ring. And I was like, okay, I see you, Diablo. Look, I will play Diablo Souls. I will play World of Diablo and I will play Diablo Souls. You can sell me these products right now. I will do it right now. Give me these games. I will play them. But yes, a very big homage there.
Now, as we are going to retrieve Elias's thumb, over we've neglected to mention the multiple times we encounter and fight Elias now, um, and it's been a bunch. Turns out he's relatively immortal because he took a piece of his thumb and he's hid it over into this temple, and as long as it's there, he can't die. Which kind of cool. That's some good thought. Because the Tree of the Whispers does inform us like that's what he did. Uh, so the question I've seen come up time and time again when it comes to this uh, was if Rathma was a necromancer and he's learned this trick to never die, why didn't someone like Rathma, who's been around a long time, do this? And Neinball, you have the answer because we talked about this. Why doesn't someone like Rathma, who's more powerful than Elias, have a built-in cheat death passive like Elias?
Because he's the one that codified the balance. Actually coming, so there's the immortality, which technically is a slight retcon because the firstborn Nephilim were not meant to be like immortal and that they would slowly fade away if not like die. And then now in the Diablo 4 continuity, they have made it so that the firstborn Nephilim are immortal, at least in terms of aging. They can be killed, but they'll never die of old age. But for to come back from death is unnatural. It's completely abhorrent and it's the antithesis of the what everything the balance stands for. And so it's like, it's one of those things that someone of Rathma standing would never do something like that, even if he had discovered how to do it and understands, kind of like how to play with life and death in such a way. It's completely unnatural. And it's something that is not supposed to be. and that's why Rathma would never do it.
We've solved that for the internet. Now we can stop arguing about it. But boy is still dead. So
Thanks for rubbing it in.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I didn't
Actually,
learn
you know what?
ancient druidic, but I learned how to insult necromancers.
I don't think I've ever had you here to ask you, are we a Tragul or Trangul family here?
So I grew up on Trangul. That's how I knew him. But of course, to not make things confusing, because now everything is Tragul. That's what we're going with. And actually, there's a great part for me to tangent about why I'm possibly a 6, maybe even a lower. For the story, I know we haven't hit all of the story beats for Act 5 yet, but I just want to go through and say that Act 5 was like the one time the narrative team and the designers got to make something like completely new. I guess like Fractured Peaks was like all new, and they like did like a great job, but they were still pulling Anarius and the Church of Light, the necropolis of the firstborn, and having to go through and pull up all those old like Nephilim vibes and such. But like Skosglen was always a thing, Dry Steppes was always a thing, and then when we get to Kyrgyzstan in Act 6, that was a thing, and one of the places in Sanctuary that we had explored in great detail in Diablo 3. And if you enjoyed like Alcarnus, you could go to Alcarnus in Kyrgyzstan. But Halazar is like all new. Like I had mentioned previously, it's an area that had never even been named. And so now it's been given a name. Tree of Whispers never existed before. This whole metaphysical, it's not just like the edge of the world, it is like the literal edge of corporeal existence type thing, and that part of the swamp isn't even in Sanctuary. These are all entirely new concepts that had never been touched on or talked about before. And for the most part, it landed for me positively, but it was just very weird and jarring to have something like the Tree of Whispers just to be there with no real build up or explanation. That it's there and it's tied in, that it's one piece. That the Tree Whispers that we see when you like play through the story, when Teresa tells you about it, that's just like one piece of this like kind of pseudo, analogy of the world tree. There are other places in Sanctuary where this thing actually exists, and this is just like one of them. It's just like, and then that's it. That if you want to know more about it, you want to learn more, like where did it come from, what does it mean, there's like nothing there to like go through and try and dig deeper. And that it's just kind of like, it's a thing and it's there and it's cool, and I want to know more, but I can't know anything more because the game just doesn't tell you anything about any of these really cool concepts that they introduce. It's just like, oh yeah, it's there. It's a Tuesday, so good luck.
Hey, they also have a cool spirit blacksmith, and that's just he's just there and conscious and living its best life.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. And you got a stash and you got a waypoint. What more do you what more could you want?
I mean, I'm asking for too much. That's the other thing is the serpent, and the reason why I'm going on this tangent now is because the whole, Traggle. Is this now Traggle? Is this Trangol? Are they going through and they retconning the World Dragon? Because it is, with Trangol, you're able to look into the scales of the dragon and see a multitude of different possibilities and realities, the past, the potential things of the future, and your whole life experience within the reflections of his scales. And then Rathma talks about in his prophecy in Act 1 that when he has these fragmented bits of prophecy, he goes into Halazar, he finds this serpent, and then he's able to make sense of the prophecy because all those visions and such come together to tell one piece within the scales of the serpent. Much the same that when you're going through with the maze in the swamps, everybody is seeing like different pieces and visions in the scales as it's communicating messages to you in that way. And it's just like, this is definitely supposed to be a stand-in for Trangol. Why don't you just call it what it is? And the fact that they don't even touch on it, they don't acknowledge it at all. And I'm just waiting, to see, and ask, is this supposed to be Trangol or is this something different? And it's like, it is supposed to be Trangol. Then Rathma would know it's Trangol. Why don't you say something? Just say it. And if it's not supposed to be Trangol, then why the hell isn't it? It's like it should be. So it's just it became kind of almost frustrating for me because there's all of these great ideas and stuff, and it kind of like goes into one of your theories there, Macro, that is like they just ran out of time in order to like kind of like fit some of this stuff in terms of like the storytelling, and it just was like it's like you've got all these awesome cool concepts with nothing in order to go through them and back it up or to flesh it out like just with a little bit more detail. Like just Anarius just has to say, oh yeah, with Mephisto dead I broke my own chains and got free, but you don't even give us that 3 seconds of dialogue to add some sort of context to it. And those are like some of my biggest gripes with the story, that it's like it was a lot of like really big cool pictures and scenes, and like give us, like, I normally am one that says like movies and other things have too much exposition, but zero exposition is just as bad.
Well, Macro, you brought this up before, and I think it's a good point. Like they knew how the story started and they knew how it ended, but connecting those is where they kind of got lost along the way.
I wanna throw him a lifeline because I see the grand vision, Neinball. It's so obvious.
Were you looking in the scales?
Yeah, I was looking at the scales. Also, if they make the serpent into a triangle, I will refund my copy. Only because it shouldn't be like that. It's just like it shouldn't just be and the reason why Nephilim came to understand that there was a balance between life and death, and that like this thing is like divine in and of itself, is because of this big snake in the swamp over here. He's just been like there the whole time. Just deal with that. Like I will lose it. And I hadn't even really thought about like the implications of the Tree of Whispers. I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like this clearly must have been referenced somewhere else. Who are all the heads in the Tree of Whispers? All of that. But here's my lifeline. The reason why we got so little information, and the end of Act 6 and the post-credit scene that we have to watch of Neyrelle just getting to leave and everybody being like, of course she has to leave. That makes total sense. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Is because clearly like all of that is for the expansion, and like the expansion is where we're going to find out that like Mephisto was the one who let Anarius leave, because he knew that Anarius was like so blinded to his need to get back to the heavens that obviously he was going to kill Rathma. Killing Rathma was going to engage Lilith in the way that it's going to, so that she would handle this in the way that she would. And the whole of that was just to get Neyrelle to be able to get Mephisto out of this world, because he knew he wasn't going to have enough time to be able to come back, so he needed a new host. And of course Neyrelle immediately gets tempted by Mephisto, because she's just a kid who now has a primeval and a soul stone, and it's definitely fine. No, it's not. What? It's a primeval and a soul stone. Of course it's not good. So like it seems so very much like obviously this is just for the expansion. Like it can't make sense right now, because then they can't get the big twist out of it. But like, yes, how did Anarius get out? And why is it that Mephisto is just pulling the strings this entire time, and Lilith is just like also clearly playing into his plan? Also, okay, so like I'm now into Act 6 because I need to be angry about Act 6, because Act 6 was like so amazingly good and then also terrible.
I just have one more thing to say.
Act 5.
Act 5. Because this is like the area that like the sunken city, the home of the necromancers, is supposed to be, and it's not there. We did get the entrance to Ure, whatever, however you want to pronounce that. in a giant empty area that's obviously going to be some sort of expansion level content that we're going to go and have hopefully be some sort of huge mega dungeon or whatever. I cannot wait. It's going to be so super exciting. That's really cool. But the sunken city for the necromancer is supposed to be in this area, and it's, I guess it's Rathma's temple, because you take the coffin down into, and you kind of like leave the vision of the tree whispers, and you like leave sanctuary, type thing, and like kind of like that makes sense and all that. But like, this is where, is this supposed to be a stand-in for the sunken city? Because that's like another one of those ones where it's like we should be able to visit there or at least see it. That would have been cool. That would have been nice to have it acknowledged in some way. And the Rathma's temple was a nice stand-in, I guess, but I wanted more. Continue.
Wait. Let's get to 6 in a second. We forgot a major player in Diablo 2 as we're getting to the end of Diablo 4 right now. A major Diablo 2 player, Mashif. Forgot about our
My
boy
boy
Mashif.
Mashif.
Oh yeah, Mashif, yeah.
Boy Mashif.
And the worst camel quest I've ever participated in.
That was nails on a chalkboard, book level boring. Oh my God. It was so heinously bad. I'm sorry. You're making me walk through. Okay, so they make you walk through a sandstorm that is slowly dealing damage to you as Mashif, the drunken Jack Sparrow stand-in for a hot second, is like, I think I gotta go this way to get out of the storm. And then we go over here. That's not what Mashif sounds like. And then you gotta click the camel because the camel's full of health potions. Don't ask questions, just click the camel.
That's what the hump
And then he's like, all right, now we walk this way. Wait, I need my pipe. We have to go. And I was like, okay, that's funny. I get this. But they make you do it like 4 times. And I'm like, dog, this area isn't big enough for you to make me walk through it this slowly. Why are you making me escort NPCs through a game? It's 2023. Stop. Please, I'm begging you. I only have so many years on this world to live. I can't be walking Mashif through a sandstorm. And then they just kill him off screen. Yeah. Why do you hate Diablo 2? Why do you hate the characters from Diablo 2? Like, why? Oh, man.
This is also the only point in the story where they mention Tyrael.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is a throw. It's a throwaway line. What was it when we had the opening, when we had the reveal cinematic and it had Lorath talking to his brother, at the grave, which never made its way into the game. I guess maybe for like a good thing, because my fear was that it's like that's just going to be Tyrael, and Lorath is talking to a dead Tyrael, and he died off screen, probably like besides Diablo himself, because the name is the title. Tyrael is like the most iconic character in Diablo, and to just kill him off screen and just have him be a grave and not have anything else would have just been like such a shitty way to like go about it. But but then again, the way that they did him dirty in this game, where it's like, Elias like ran off, because we learned about Rathma's prophecy. And when we learned Rathma's prophecy, Tyrael got so afraid, he ran off into the wilderness and was never seen from again. It's like Tyrael, the aspect of justice, the ascendant aspect of wisdom, the guy that created the Haradrim in the first place in order to fight against the primevals, heard that, went through and helped you to deal with the prophecy of the end of days and literal destruction of sanctuary, is scared of a prophecy about Lilith? What?
Is that what we got as an explanation for why he's not here doing stuff?
Yeah, it's because it was when you're I guess it technically was in Act 4, because when you take Donan back to the Haradric vault
hideout, yeah,
the Haradric hideout, and he just has like a little throwaway line that Tyrael was the one that that built this vault. What happened to him? And it's like, when we learn about like the prophecy, Rathma's prophecy, he got afraid and he went off one night and was never seen again. And that was it. And like, yeah, if you're not paying attention, it's one line.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
That's,
So
But
yeah,
that's
he didn't get stabbed by 4 soldiers, so
yeah, Tyrael pissed his pants and ran away. So I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe again, it's Monkey's Paw. I hoped and I prayed that Tyrael wouldn't have gotten killed off screen. So instead, he turned into a giant baby, and he needed his nightlight on.
it's like that has to be like he knew of a thing that he could go do or something. Like they can't do him that dirty. Tyrael is like, he's too much merch. He's literally on too much merch to be done dirty. Like Deckard Cain doesn't make a good shirt, but Tyrael does. Like
conspiracy theory.
yeah.
You know how like in movies they'll do test screenings, and when the audience like reacts badly to things, and then they go back and they do reshoots. I think this is like one of Diablo 4's reshoots, because it's like, yeah, Tyrael just died off screen and nobody liked that, and so they're like, well, we'll just pull that, and yeah, we'll throw in some dialogue that he disappeared, and then when Sanctuary needed him most, he vanished.
As we talk about like Tyrael's importance, as I was when I did the Hell's Inc event,
and I just want to say one more thing. Yeah. Tyrael's wings. Okay, thank you.
There we go. That's for you, Rush. So when I was at the Hell's Inc event, you had your 14 odd tattoos that you could choose from. The Tyrael one was one of the most popular. It was I was first and I got the Diablo 2, but then like the next 5 people were getting Tyrael. Um, it seems weird. You're right, Neinball, to not have that. You could sell a lot more if Tyrael makes an appearance. It's not just, and maybe they just didn't want to overcrowd Anarius, give him his time. Um, but he's gone now. So that's our transition to Act 6. So we get to our conclusion of our story, right? We get to see Anarius and Lilith battle, and I loved. I'm curious how many people skipped the cinematic at the start because it was what they had already seen. Because it's like, oh yeah, I already saw this one. I know where we're going. But then like it just keeps going, and it is so much better.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal cutscene. I had people in chat being like, I skipped this, not knowing. Sincerely, because like to their credit, they have now, like, before the game release, they then played it on like every dev update, like while it's like, and let's look at the cinematic. And I'm like, I mean, I'll watch this a million times, no question. It's beautiful. But there were people who did skip it, and they were like, whoa, there's more. And I'm like, you skipped it? Yeah. Doug, you can only play through this game for the first time once. You know that, right? Like, what do you mean you skipped it?
I mean, because the part that they played like ends on a cliffhanger, because you don't see what happens. You know, he throws the spear and then it ends, and then like you don't know what happens. Like, don't you want to see what happened? I don't know. That's just me. So
we'll get to it in just one second, but like a brief summary of Act 6 here, Neinball.
So in Act 5, you get to see Donan go through the process of like attuning the Soul Stone, which is cool to go through and show why the ancient Herodrum had to be so powerful in order to actually like manipulate this primordial fabric of the universe and all that other types of stuff, and that it isn't just something that you can just shove into something's forehead and banish it forever. That there's some effort behind it. You finally attune the Soul Stone to hatred, so that way you can use it against Lilith. And now Anarius is pushing the prophecy forward, marching his armies to Chaldeum, where Lilith is headed with the Hell Key, so that way she can go enter Hell and consume the essence of her father to herself, ascend to be a primeval. And you meet up, because you meet up with the Reverend Mother Prava, so that way you, even though we're not really like friendly, or at least we have the same enemy, so maybe we can work together. And you begin to see like Anarius's contempt for the regular person, because he's going off in straight, to hell while everyone else is fighting this huge bloody battle with all the demons that are being summoned. We learn that Anarius is a Jedi, and he can use the Force.
Yoink.
And just yoinks the Soul Stone, from Donan's hand, and everyone's like scrambling. It's like the whole plan was to trap Lilith, and then we finally get the acknowledgement that we were looking for. That it's like, well, what do we do now? And it's just like, well, maybe you could lead us, Jar Jar. It's like it's just which is an old Star Wars parody joke for anybody that gets it. But it's just finally acknowledge that it's like, well, shit, like you killed a lesser evil and have done all of these great things. You, the hero, maybe you can actually save us and beat Lilith. Maybe it's up to you. We would like to get that Soul Stone back, but you're not a bad plan B. So
that whole interaction right there. So marching up through the streets of Chaldeum, right? Amazing, like really good. Obviously, like if you didn't pick up on the cues fast enough, like we accidentally ran up onto the rooftop, killed everything there, and then the NPCs wouldn't march. So we're just kind of standing there, like because we had we had played through the story already, and we're trying to speed run, and I was like, oh my God, we literally didn't trigger the NPC. So you have to go back down to the NPCs. They walk further and I go, what is that on the rooftops? And it's like, I already killed it. Okay, I'll go back up there. And you go back up there. And then there's two different ways that you can get down. If you go down the wrong way, it does nothing. If you go down the right way, it actually keeps the NPCs moving. That's, I'll not harangue them too much for that. But it's like, it's such a cool scene. Again, I'm escorting NPCs, but at least we're fighting. And then they do just go, haha, Anarius, look, our nuke. And Anarius goes, my nuke. And we're like, why didn't we think that would happen? And also, how did he do that? And Lorath gets to have a pretty cool moment where he's like, well, screw it, we'll just go kill him anyways. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'm down with that energy. But that's the best we could come up with. Homeboy is a Jedi. I didn't even thought about that. But like, yeah, he's just like, zoop. And I'm like, what do you mean zoop? That's the MacGuffin. You can't just zoop the MacGuffin, bud. You can't just take that from my hand. And then you have like the Lilith realm. You get through the Lilith. Well, hold on. You get into hell first. We get into hell. Hell is awesome. Hell is full of demons. It's very cool. What was the point of the marching army? Because like we show up and Prava's just on the ground like, I'm totally dying. Also, if you roll me over, oh, there's a soul stone. Here it is. And I'm like, I actually don't really understand why any of this. Like, I don't get why you're here. I don't know what the army was for. Anarius didn't need any of this. So like the cinematic is beautiful. The build up is beautiful. We get there and it all kind of doesn't matter in any like real substantial way. Again, unless I missed something, I'm just like, okay, all these people died for nothing, which I guess is like a good plot point, but like
I believe that all the people dying is just the point. It's just there to show that Anarius really was using them, and and it's like one of those ones where it's like he's bringing all these people. It shows his vanity, gets everybody to go through and worship him because that's all that your place in Sanctuary is, and then he doesn't even need them in the first place. He leads them all blindly into their own deaths. And, that's all that they're there for, is to be mercilessly sacrificed against the hordes of hell that he never even really needed in the first place. And that just shows the angels' contempt, for humanity. That, Anarius is like the representation of heaven, and we'll use you as tools to further our own end, but at the end we do not care about you. And that's kind of like, at least for me, is just showing that like heaven isn't your friend either. They're not there. Tyrael is an exception. Tyrael's got our back, except now he ran away into the darkness, never to be seen again. But like all the rest of the angels in heaven, they really don't care for us. I think Immortal did like a really good job of showing that, angels are fighting against the demons the same as we are, and they're willing to like just leave us alone. But at the same time, they still don't like us. That they're not really good guys.
I feel like even in the cutscene,
Yeah.
literally them being there served no purpose. Because he just shows up and all the demons are like, well, that's like a real angel.
Yeah.
Like, I am just a fallen. So I don't know. I'm not like Rakanishu, so I can't. You're above my pay grade. You want me? I'll just disintegrate. Yeah, sure. But like mechanically, I would have liked something. I would have liked something because it was like set dressing just to drive that point home. But even in that regard, like literally the humans marching would have just cost Inarius time. So like, I don't even understand why he would have even gone that far with them just to F off and just get killed. Like mechanically in the game, it didn't really make sense. Oh, and also you fight Duriel here. Duriel does just show up. We don't really get why Duriel is here. You do just fight him and kill him. He's a cool fight for like a second. And then he's very, very annoying because he leaves little holes in the ground you can't walk around, but it doesn't really give an indicator. And then he is just gone. And it's like, oh, okay. Hey, it makes sense that you're here. Like you are. Okay. All right. Bye. All right. See ya.
Doesn't even get a mention like, hey, I just killed another lesser evil. On the way here, no, nothing.
Yeah, after all the buildup around the summoning of Andariel,
doesn't even. And it's like just such a missed opportunity because he could have just popped up out of the ground and been like looking for Lilith. No, doesn't even get that. Not even a throwback. Which is funny to me because like one of the things I enjoyed about Act 5 was like Teresa, who's a witch, is just like we don't just sell potions like because Adria and Diablo 1, it's like you have all these other like little throwbacks and nods and stuff like that. And just, Duriel just shows up, you kill him, and that's it. Done. Over with.
Since you brought her up, the shift between Teresa, the one that we saved, and the Teresa in the swamp, is there any reason behind that? Okay, good. So I'm just making sure I didn't miss something, and that is when I've gone through and I've looked at Reddit and I've seen a lot of criticism around the story. Um, that is probably the most consistent comment of like, we just saved your life, and then I killed a big old lesser evil, which you probably didn't see anyway because nobody cared, and then here I am in the swamps, and you want fuck all to do with me, and you're actually kind of a dick.
And also, like, I'm gonna help you find and kill Elias, who you're still looking for, by the way. And yet nothing. Yeah, it definitely was a weird change of pace and characterization.
And as we talk about the crunch, like the running theory is that this was meant to be two characters. Um, and that might be logical, like the one that helps summon a Dariel, and then hey, there's this different woman, but for whatever reason, we'll just wedge them into the same person. But then it does create that disconnect of like, wait, well, we just did something. We know each other.
You remember me from 2 minutes ago?
Right.
You teleported. I had to ride here on my horse, but I am him. I am that guy. No, okay.
Don't use that teenage slang here.
You know what's wild though, and this is again jumping the shark a little bit. Walking out of playing through the story for the first time without being hypercritical of it, I loved getting through the story and experiencing the story. I loved the major beat. My brain only remembers the major beats until we got right here to have this conversation. All I remember is the major beats and me personally going, holy shit, is that Duriel? What is Duriel doing here? Oh my God, he's killing me. Like, that was a cool experience for me. And again, he killed me. And then I spanked him the second time. But now I'm sitting here, I'm like, you walk around the corner, you have to walk these NPCs over. He yoinks the MacGuffin. Well, screw you. Okay, I guess we'll still go to, Duriel's here. Well, hold on, let me kill him real quick. All right, cool. Let's go to hell. Oh, everybody's dead. Oh, okay. Oh, we still have the sightless eye? I mean, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever. Oh, we're in Lilith realm. And now Lilith, I always make this reference. and I think 3 people are going to get it. The first time that you played Pokemon Red and Blue, you get to the second town. You're going to be fighting Misty, the gym leader. But first, you need to go up to Bill because you need to get access to the PC. And you walk over Nugget Bridge. Nugget Bridge is a boss rush hell slam of trainers, where at the end, there is a member of Team Rocket. And Team Rocket goes, "Oh, damn, you beat all of our schmucks. Do you want to join Team Rocket and help us take over the world?" And me, an 8-year-old, I don't remember how old I was, 6? When did that game come out? Doesn't matter. Me without like my voice hasn't dropped yet, goes, "Hell yeah, I do." And they're like, "Are you sure you don't want to?" And I'm like, "No, I super would. Yeah, I want a Pikachu. I didn't catch one in Viridian Forest." So he's like, "You're going to regret this." And I'm like, "Why are you not respecting my agency and my consent?" Lilith is like, "Don't you just want to help me?" And I'm kind of sitting here like, yeah, I do. I do think, I don't think it's for good, but I do think that you want this world to be your plaything more than, like, in a better way than the Primevals just want to consume it. So I will totally help you. And she's like, "You should make better decisions." And I'm like, "Dog, give me a dialogue box. Have it not matter, but like, give me one. This is a role-playing game. Let me make the decision. You can still like train me right into what I'm gonna do. Why wasn't this a dialogue option? Why wasn't it like a something? Let me be part of Team Rocket. Let me be part of Lilith, because Inarius is garbage. I know he's dead now, but like, he has proven to me that nobody else is even vaguely pretending like they care about Sanctuary, and most of humanity is wiped out. So I'd like option B, honestly, if I could pick that.
I think let's come back to that in a second, because you mentioned Inarius's death. We do get that awesome scene uh, with Lilith and Inarius. We see Inarius complete his mission, right? He's under the impression that he's killed Lilith. He's screaming out into the void about why he's not immediately ascending back to the heavens. Um, and then, she comes back and she's like, "You don't understand that they don't want to hear from you. Their silence is their choice." Just love that. Um, and then, just melt him down into goo. Loved it. Like, I really enjoyed seeing Inarius die. Um,
Which
man,
also, while you're going through and you're walking through that, like, that you watch that cutscene, and you've got like a big empty room that looks like it should be a boss fight or something, and then into the next. That big empty room is where Lilith and Inarius fought, and the giant scorch mark in the center, if you look at it, is actually, you can see the remnants of like Inarius's armor as it's sunken into the ground.
10 out of 10. Amazing cutscene, amazing set dressing. No joke, when she like had her hands in him and like the nameless power is like rippling through him to destroy him, I was just sitting there chanting, "Ooh, corrupted angel, corrupted angel, corrupted angel, corrupted angel." And then he's just like a pile. And I was like, oh, like, that also makes sense. Don't get me wrong. Also
Yeah.
cool. I wanted corrupted Inarius to be the next fight so badly. I was like, ooh,
Okay.
give me this.
It's like one of those ones, because it's a giant like empty area where it could have been a boss fight. Maybe it was something, because like that's my first thought too when I saw that, because the energy began to turn flesh-like. Like it didn't look as if she's like snuffing out like the wings. It looked as if she was turning it into flesh, and like, kind of like that's the difference. So where demons are all flesh and blood, and then angels are just, they're light and sound, which makes sense. The prophecy was to light's spear will pierce hatred's heart, and he stabs her in the stomach. Angels don't know anatomy; they don't have organs, so he thought that that's where her heart was or something. I don't know. He knows her more intimately than I do. Maybe he was right. I don't. They had a kid together, so I'm gonna trust his opinion on where her heart is. But it's just yeah. But there's some things that they could have done, with that would have been cool. And also, I don't know, Iswald was corrupted, and he keeps coming back as a demon now. So maybe because that is like the last thing that she whispers to him before she kills him is "You belong here," and so maybe he is now a part of hell and is going to come back in the future.
I'd be okay with it. I want to kill him.
Yeah, I want to kill him.
Yeah. So
Look, we all want to kill Anarius.
Yeah.
Get in line.
I mean, outside of Malthael, we haven't had like an angel fight, and Malthael was, at that point corrupted, right? Um,
Technically, no.
no, yeah, I suppose because he
It
didn't
was
shatter the Black Soulstone until mid-fight, right?
well, and also the other side of it is that so this is I guess metagaming a little bit. There was the original version of the Malthael fight at the end of Diablo 3 would actually go through more than just like the 2.5 phases that he has. Is that he would shatter the Black Soulstone, absorb all of his power, and then he would have a Baal fight, Mephisto fight, Diablo fight. As he would channel those aspects of the greater evils into empowering his abilities, and they kind of wanted to show some of that with when he starts like using some of his abilities to have like a red lightning tinge to it to like kind of like be like Diablo's like lightning breath and such as he's channeling it. But it was a lot more involved in that fight, and obviously it had to be cut for time and shipping purposes and such. But also from the lore aspect is that when he was doing that, it wasn't that like Mephisto or Baal or Diablo were taking him over and using him to channel like their power. He was literally just like, "No, you're my bitch, and I'm gonna take this from you." And that Malthael would have been in control the entire time, manipulating all of the seven evils at once to bend to his whim. So Malthael was not corrupted; he was in charge and full faculty of all of his decisions the entire time.
Hence why you can hate him.
Yeah.
That was just him doing him, baby.
Even though he was kind of right. But yeah.
Whoa. Okay. We're not talking Diablo 3 lore. We're talking Diablo 4 now. Because nothing about Diablo 3 is ever talked about anyway. So we get to the end. We fight and defeat Lilith. As Nerel jams the Soulstone into Mephisto, allowing him to seep in. We defeat Lilith and she runs away because we're just cool with it. Like, it has worked out in every iteration of Diablo. We take that Soulstone, we go in a cardinal direction, and everything turns out fine. Are you upset that we're gonna have to go west and not east?
Maybe we go north.
Nah. But we know she went west, though.
Did she? Does it say that she went west? Because it doesn't actually say where she goes.
I thought she was
I
going
thought
west.
she just hopped on a boat and went to insert other continent here.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already covered most of the east, as far as we know, unless you add another more eastern part of Sanctuary that we've never ever seen. It's not on the map. So I guess south or west, right?
Or north.
I'm
where the
Oh,
realm
I suppose, yeah,
the
I
realm
suppose
that
there is
she
some.
comes from, the realm that she comes from, the island that she's from, Zenzai, is to
Oh,
the north of
yeah.
I guess like we now have a name because the western continent was Honduras, and now we have a name for the eastern continent, Estuary. Okay, great.
look.
Sure,
What?
There had
Is
to
that
be one. There has to be one place that's just the name with some added suffix.
Yep.
It's in every fantasy. All right. There's Sotheros. You got Estuary. You got the Eastern Kingdoms. You got to do it.
You have to do it. Has to be done. Yeah.
Neinball, are you fucking with me? Is that true? Like, did I just miss that? It's Easteros?
Have you never looked at your map?
I have it. It's still in the box. I just didn't really take it
No,
out.
I mean in the game.
No, I've never looked at that because they won't give me an overlay map, so I can't see the map in this game actually.
So when you're in a dungeon and you open the map, you have the levels off to the left-hand side that
Yeah.
you can click to go to the overworld map. It says it right there.
It just says Easter. Oh my God. How have I missed that?
I
I was
don't
just
know.
hit
You
two,
probably have clicked on that button many
probably
times while you've
more
been
than
playing.
anything.
I will let you know I am loading the game right now because I don't believe you. And I do need to see this, so I'll be over here for a quick second.
He's fact checking, um, which I totally believe. I
Again, I think
Who names
technically
it?
it's S2R. It's like
S
ESTUR. Yeah.
wait, ESTUAR.
ESTUAR. Yeah.
With a Y
Estuar?
at the, I thought it was estuary, isn't
That's
it?
Yeah.
estuary.
Estuar. Yeah.
That's not
All right.
Easter Rose. I mean, like,
Yeah.
This is great. We should leave all of this in for sure.
Yeah,
This is
totally.
great. Everybody loves us talking about cardinal directions and how silly of a continent name this is.
Okay, yeah, we've been talking a while and we're dovetailing here. Let's just go to the end. Okay, we're going to the ending. We've made it through the campaign. Um, you don't need to blow me kisses, Macro. I appreciate it.
That's Panda's going to sleep because she's a real human and it's midnight. So I have
Yeah,
to say goodbye to my
no, that's
girlfriend.
fair, but I appreciate the sentiment, really. Um, we get to the end. You've completed the story. We say, Narelle, leave. I said it at the beginning. Despite the faults, I still think this is the strongest Diablo story that I've experienced. Um,
Yeah.
No question there. Like 10 out of 10 story in comparison to the other games for sure.
to see the Soul Stone leaving, it brought me back a lot of joy from watching the ending of Diablo 1. Like when you jam that Soul Stone into your head, and then it's just a question of what's going to happen next. We don't have that image. We get that image with Donan's son, which is really cool. But like we as a player, having played through all the iterations of this game, know where it's going, right? We know that that Soul Stone is not going to work well. Um, we know that Mephisto is now a key player. I mean, he has been arguably over the entirety of the game so far, but he's out in the world and he's going to come back, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So, despite its faults, I still like overall give the game story wise like an 8. I feel still feels really strong to me. I think it makes up for some of those faults with a lot of the quests outside of it. Um, like we don't have enough time to talk about all the tiny little side quests that are built into the world that I think flesh it out and make it even more real. But I'm pretty content with the story, and I'm excited for the expansion because we can argue in every iteration the expansion that comes first is really where the story starts to shine. And we're going to get a couple of them as far as we know. So actually, I've been talking too much.
At
What do you
least
guys have to
two.
say? Right, at
We're
least
getting at
two.
least two.
So I agree with you. I think overall, again, my experience playing through the story, not nitpicking it, not tearing it apart, but playing through the story, 8, 9 out of 10. I liked it very much. I think it had very good beats. I like the world story so much. I know there's like a lot of hardcore gamers out there who forget that this is a role-playing game. I can't stress it enough. It's a role. I know it says action. Don't worry. I don't forget about the A over here, but it's a role-playing game. I have been relentlessly mocked for my love of this one single interaction between these two NPCs. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but basically, when you start the game, there are two NPCs in Kyovashad who are scrounging in a corner near the purveyor of curiosities. And if you click on him, he's like, "You stubborn bastard, just take the handout from the church. Like you'll starve to death if you don't." And the other guy is like, I would never trust those lying bastards. And it just like it shows, again, coming from somebody who like literally got like government handouts for food, it shows a very real interpretation of what it feels like to be in that position and to have that pride, especially if you like disagree with the powers that be that are giving it to you. I was trying to show that on stream. I was on my level like 95 character, whatever. And I went, guys, let me go show you this NPC. And I walk over there and I click the same NPC. And the NPC goes, well, basically like, well, after all that's happened, like, I don't know what we're going to do. And the other guy's like, don't worry. I'll teach you how to steal what you need to live. And I went, did they change my favorite NPC? They took my one voiceover line and I was heartbroken. And then I realized, wait a minute, is this the best game of all time? The NPCs in the world do different things after you've completed the campaign. And I know that's not groundbreaking new things, but it sure as hell is in a Diablo game. That was amazing. It made me realize like, oh my God, I need to go play through this game and talk to every single NPC and see every single voice line and then beat the game and see when they change. It could just be this one instance, but like it shows a level of care and detail and appreciation of the world and the continuity that I have not personally experienced in previous Diablo games, and made me feel like I'm legitimately playing a role-playing game where like the things I've done mattered. And that's really important for people like me who are looking for that type of engagement and interaction and connection to the story in general. I have so many questions. Why do we let Neinball determine whether or not we're going to eat Mephisto or not? What was the point of the pact between Astaroth and Lilith being able to give her like the ability to go to Mephisto's realm? If we kill him in the real world, he literally didn't get what he wanted, and he wasn't there to give her the passage. Literally, how did she get through the weird field of flames or whatever? Like, there's so many things that, for whatever reason, just go completely unanswered, and it's like only to piss off me, who is a completionist, I guess. But I had a great time with the story. I think it's really well done. I think it is absolutely my most favorite Diablo game at this point. And that's with 10,000 hours in Diablo 2. Don't come from my head. I've also put in my time and effort. I've done my job. And I'm very enamored with the game. Like you said a lot earlier, I'm waiting to play. It's my job. Sure, we can air quote this. I don't go, what am I going to have to figure out to do on stream today to like entertain people? It's like, no, dude, I need a better amulet. I need a better set of pants. I haven't gotten a max life roll on a ring yet. I need to do my grinding. My glyphs aren't done because I want to go kill Lilith. Like, I think they did a great job. And I'll stop ranting because I could go on and on.
Neinball.
I mean, it's for me, I didn't really have any problems with the ending, to be honest. It's like one of those ones where it felt really Diablo. The whole, as we were playing through like Chaldeum and such, and Neinball is just sitting there, guys, Mephisto's the real threat. Am I the only one seeing this? Am I the only one that cares about this? Yeah, sure, like Lilith is all bad and evil and stuff like that, but she's his daughter. Her title is Daughter of Hatred. Therefore, the important part of it is hatred. Him. Like, she is his lesser. Why are we not concerned about that guy? No one else cares that she's been having visions and talking with the fucking blood wolf thing or whatever? No, nobody, anybody. She's the sane one in the group that's actually sitting there with the eyes on the prize, not the immediate threat in front of you, but the long term is, Lilith. Basically, she's saying the same thing that Lilith is. We gotta stop. Lilith's like, we gotta stop the primevals, otherwise she's, they're just going to consume sanctuary. And Neinball's like, she is right. We stand a better chance against her than we do Mephisto. And then you get there, and it's true that it's like you have this decision. Well, do we use the soul? Do we wait and use the soul stone on Lilith, or do we take the opportunity and use it on Mephisto? Because I think Donan even has like a throwaway line that this has never worked. We know soul stones always fail. They never work. But sure, why not? Let's do it anyways. Maybe this time, right? But even 10 years, or maybe you'll get another 300 years like you did with the first Herodrum in order to stop Mephisto, and that just gives you a chance, gives you time to rebuild. And it makes a lot of sense because you realize that you've been manipulated this entire time by both Lilith and Mephisto. You literally just went through the whole like Lilith realm and the deep introspection, touching all of the story points and such. And then Mephisto going through and coming and saving you again, that I'm the one that put you there in that cave because I knew there was something special about you. It's like this whole thing is orchestrated by Mephisto, and you're like, well, shit. It's like they rule. I think you're right. Maybe we should stop Mephisto, but I'm corrupted. I can't give you a straight answer. This is your choice, not mine. And
But
and that's
but isn't that like just so very clearly that like this is just Mephisto's Diablo story? Like this is just Mephisto's, haha, I got you to do this so that I could be like reborn. And it's like the whole point of this is that I wanted to be trapped. Like it feels so much like Diablo's story, and Mephisto's just doing the exact same playbook. That's why it confuses me, because I feel like you have a lot of very smart people there who watch Diablo do this exact thing. Am I crazy? Like, is that not just the exact same play? Like, get me into this soul stone. You wicked beat me. Absolutely. Ah, ha, ha, idiots. I'm here. Now I'm here. Good job. Get wrecked. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to convince you. It just seemed like we have literally done this, and Lorath knows that this is how this has gone down with a different primeval. And then he's just like, let her go. She's young. I'm like, yeah, but the Soul Stone with Mephisto is not young. That man is from the beginning of existence. So,
well, I don't even think that it's so much that he said let her go. That it's just like we don't even know where to start to find her, and we've got other problems, with the church going, like crazy, and other problems that we have to solve. Well, we can look to try and find her.
shoutouts to them having homeboy that you save try to lead a kill squad against you. What's his name? Like
Yosef.
Yeah, Eosef is like, look, I'm the only one left. Prava said, come get you. I'm here. I got one. We had one knight penitent left over. He didn't make it to the march. So we're here now. Get in the cart. We're going home. And it's like, Eosef, bud, you got taken up by some villagers. I don't think you're about to get there.
That was the moment in the story where I was worried about death the most. Having the hardcore playthrough and just like, if I die in the prologue, man, that would
If I died at
suck.
Eosef, ooh, oof.
Like I'm like, Blizzard's not gonna scale this to be too difficult, right? Because I just kind of did the work. I just beat Lilith. This guy shouldn't get it, and that would suck. If somebody out there did a hardcore playthrough and died at that moment, please let me know, because I think that would be fucking hilarious. Um, because it sounds like a move that would have happened to me. So if that's you, please let me know, and I will give you my personal condolences. I do want to know that. Um, okay, so we've been going like a long time.
Long
And
time.
it's super late. Rush, good luck, because this is gonna take a while. But I
Impossible.
don't want to leave it at just that. As we're kind of closing here, we have our traditional closing, but last thoughts, or linger. Let's do this. What question do you want to have answered most with the expansion? I'll go first. I'll give you some time to think. I said it at the prior to Diablo 4. I'll say it again. I want closure on Diablo 3 story. That's what I want most. I want something to bridge why this massively powerful Nephilim is not here. And that's what I want to see in the expansion. If it's dead, great. That's fine. I just need to know. That's me. That's what I want to see in the expansion. What about you guys?
We do have confirmation that one of them are dead.
What that's true. The Crusader.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't even see our Johanna. It's that Johanna had died and passed the title on, and then we see that one dead. But I want to know what happened to Tyrael. I want to know Tyrael's story, where he's at, what he's doing, and how they're going to salvage him, pissing himself running out into the woods.
Hmm. So, all right. I'm going to twist it a little bit on you because I'm eccentric and I need to be extra. Because I kept getting this question a lot, like, ooh, what class will be in the expansion? What class do you want to see come back to Diablo? What class do you want? Is it the Paladin? Do you want the Paladin? Now, they literally use the same charge and smite animation from Diablo 3 for what's his name? Diego? What's the Knight Penitent dude's name?
Vigo.
Vigo.
Yeah. Vigo. Vigo literally uses the charge
It's
animation.
Vigo.
It's a Vigo. They do use
Ghostbusters?
literally.
No? Okay.
No, I'm sorry, bud. I was excited about Vigo. They do literally use the exact same animation for charge and smite from Diablo 2 Resurrected. I matched them up like frame by frame. It's the exact same animation. I'm like, okay, that's literally just the paladin from Diablo 2, obviously. But I don't know that I want more old lore explored other than to fill out a new story. I want a new class. I want new story. I want the parts of the world that we haven't explored yet and we don't really have like a great amount of information in to be where we go, and for them to be telling the next story, because it's 2023 and I'm all about seeing the new stuff. And for a class, I would either like to see an artificer. I think artificers make sense, like a Heraldric artificer. I think that would be super dope. Something like that. You can kind of do like trap stuff, kind of like rogue. They already kind of did that, which was what my hope was. But you know, what can we do? I want an artificer and I want new story. I obviously want continuation. I want continuity. I want stuff to get fleshed out, but in new arcs. Like that was kind of one of the things I was like, is Mephisto really just doing Diablo's playbook? I want Mephisto to be doing something slightly different as he corrupts Neyrelle and inevitably tries to reincarnate here on Sanctuary. Like that's what I hoped, because they touched on so many new things. I would love to see more new things fleshed out.
I mean, technically, it wasn't just like Diablo's story; it was all three of them. That was the Dark Exile and like the whole point. You actually see, like, Sankakur's, tomb is where you enact the ritual, and he was the guy that Mephisto had corrupted, prior to Diablo 2. Or actually prior to Diablo.
Real 1. Quick, I loved that. I loved just stopping and reading every single tapestry. That was dope. Also, shoutouts to the creepy Church of Light guy who's at the beginning when you go in to see Anaris for the first time, like the hyper zealot who's just like, sometimes the father talks weird and I'm like, this dude, whoever did this acting is perfect. I love this NPC. So if you did that character voiceover or wrote up that character, that was perfect. That was awesome. I loved him very much. But yeah, that's what I want. I want something new and cool and exciting for the kids to vibe with, you know. In this horrible story about matricide and patricide. Something for the kids.
In tandem with that, as we talk about adding new, right? I want to give a shout out to Ralph Innocent and Lorath's voice.
Oh yeah.
Like Deckard Cain is iconic to Diablo, and I think Lorath is now too. Like I feel like you can do a Deckard Cain impression. All of us can. We're not going to do it here today. But I couldn't even begin to imitate Ralph Innocent. It is so amazing. And like every time Lorath speaks, I want to listen. And I'm excited for him to come back and just do more.
All the voice actors did a fantastic job, just kind of like top to bottom.
Yeah. And also just, the way that they wrote Lorath, that his introduction in Act 3 is just right out the gate. He's not Deckard Cain.
Yes.
He's not trying to be Deckard Cain, even though he's kind of like fulfilling that same role. They're like, we know that we're not going to be able to hit this, so we're giving him something completely different, and thank you for that. Thank you for giving, Deckard that respect and not trying to just carbon copy it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone so long, and if you've made it to the end here, I'm impressed. If we didn't cover something from the story that you would like us to talk about, I can guarantee that Neinball is going to want to talk about lore some more. So post it. I don't often ask for comments and likes and subscribes and all that stuff, but if you wanted to do all that, great.
For those that made it to the end, I've got one story question for you to see if you all were paying attention. Did you find Linden? And that's it.
There's your challenge. So, Macro, thank you for coming out and topping off a long day for yourself. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm MacroBioBoi on everything. Macro BIOBOI. I'm sorry it's confusing, but what can you do? Now, I want to have like a cool Easter egg, but I don't want to steal Neinball Shine. The horse is called Old Nell, and that's awesome. It's just thank you. I've been riding on an Old Nell since the beginning of World of Warcraft, so I appreciate that. Thank you. But no, I'm MacroBioBoi on everything. You can find me on something if you like content. I probably put it there. I assume. I hope I still have like half my accounts up. But no, I stream pretty regularly and I put out a lot of stuff on YouTube. So if you like deep analytical, very specifically to the Necromancer right now lore, or I'm sorry, like game mechanics and testing, that's what I'm up to. So find me there. And as always, thank you very much for having me. This is always awesome. I love hanging out with these nerds and chit chatting with them. And hopefully our post talk isn't too long. But thank you.
I don't think it will be. Uh, okay, guys, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo 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 moo.
Moo, 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 moo.